Welcome to the Ice King Cast, a place where we discuss RPGs, opinions, and thoughts just to escape everyday life. I am the Ice King Nexion, and today we're going to be discussing stories. Specifically short stories or stories of experiences that I've had playing role-playing games of all kinds. So today we're going to be focusing on Starfinder. Starfinder, if you don't know what that is, it is a game created by a company called Paizo. Think of it as Dungeons and Dragons in space, and way gnarlier. Like, there's just a lot going on. So what my first experience involved the Starfinder Society, and this comes with playing, I should say. My first experience playing. I have ran games before, so running a game is very different from playing in one. When you're running a game, you have almost total control, opposed to playing a game, to where you have little to no control, except for what you want to do. You say what you want to do, and it depends on if you can or not. Certain scenarios, like, hey, I want to try this. It's a little out of scope, so you got to try and keep it in perspective. For me, it was running the Starfinder Society, the first scenario. It's a great place to start off if you're playing Starfinder, and you get gear that is way past your level, just stuff. So, my first character that I decided to play in the Society was a Vesk biohacker. Now, the character operations manual came out, and I think a week earlier, they released it into Society play. So, and I'd been playing for at least running a game for at least a year beforehand. So I had some experience in what I was doing, kind of knew where to be, what to do. My my biohacker's name was Rockmodon, and it was a weird mix of the name Rocknaldo from Steven Universe, because that name stuck in my head that day, and Cosmodon from World of Warcraft. I don't know how they mixed or how I came to think of them at the same time, but I did. He had a last name too, which I don't know what it is right now. I'd have to look, but yeah, he's got a last name too. So he's Rockmodon. And no, he doesn't have that accent. So if you haven't played the Starfinder Society, the first scenario, I mean, you may want to go play that first, so there are spoilers ahead of things that happen. Though, mind you, I also have a really bad memory of all the names, so it won't be too far off when I do that. It won't be too far off when I mention the names of everything, the characters and things like that. I can explain everything very well to a degree, but just names really escape me. So, without further ado, the first session was basically, the first session is trying to get you to understand the sub-factions of the Starfinder Society. How there are 4 different sub-factions. There's, I know the one that I had joined was the Data Files, and there were 2 others that were also there. I'm sorry, there's more than 2. There's like 4. Yeah, because you do 4 different missions. So they said there were a few people who had started before, who had done other Society missions, who had played it a few times, and they said, let's let the new guys decide. And okay. And then I was lucky enough to speak up first. I said, okay. And before we even did that, before we even decided where we were going, before we decided where we were going, we decided to pick, they give us a little story in the beginning. You've finally been accepted in the Starfinder Society. You could use you had to imprint your data onto this machine, and you could have the Starfinder Society symbol burned into your hand. And I think everyone denied it. I do know there was one person there that when the one guy that was there, what he did was he kept going, how's our information going to be used? Everyone stopped and was like, oh, okay, what do you mean? The DM's like, well, what do you mean? He goes, are you planning on selling our information? I'm not cool with you selling my information. And this went on for 5 to 10 minutes straight with just him trying to negotiate whether or not his information would be sold to the highest bidder. Adding a nice little real life splash into everything. We also had there were also some kids that were in the group. They were not to say that they were bad. They were just excited. These were excited children who were always talking over everyone else. They were definitely the forefront of the vocalization of the group. And like I said, I don't know the ages or anything. I do know that they were the DM's kids, or GMs, however you word it. So he was, he was pretty cool about it, and he was really nice in how, if he were a daycare teacher having to deal with kids, I would have definitely trusted it with my kids. It's the way he talked to them, the way that he described things. He was very nice, and it showed that he had a lot of patience. So I really did appreciate that, especially because he had patience with all of us, and he did make it very kid friendly. There were parts where we'll get into it, where he was very kid friendly with the children. So the next thing that happened, I also declined to get my hand burned, and what I did instead was we went to the first mission, and this is where the decision came in, where those who had been there before said, all right, let's let the new guys make the decision. And I was lucky enough to speak up first and say, can we do the data files? And because I really just wanted to do the data files, see what it was, because that's where I was interested in. The character I was playing, Rockmodon, was more of a, he was a scientist. For backstory wise, he was a toxicologist who was creating bioweapons for the Veskarium before they joined the Pact Worlds in an alliance against the Swarm. And he was told to stop his research. Well, he didn't. He then continued to infect others with a disease, with a toxin that couldn't be cured or reversed. And after seeing the horror he unleashed, he then decided, because he was in a lab going, okay, this is what this does. But he never saw it on the battlefield. When he first experienced it on the battlefield, he wanted to find a cure for it. So he's been working ever since to do that. And he was using the Starfinder Society and the data files to accomplish this. One of the things he ended up doing was choosing data files because they would be able to help him out. You meet their leader. She says, okay, we're being, of the data files, she's saying, we're being hacked. And the mission that was given to us after they had hacked was to bring them back and have them join. It was odd, but it was interesting, and it makes sense in a Starfinder setting, or in the setting of normal people. These people hacked our highly secured systems of information, which are extremely well guarded. Like, we may want them on our side to help fix it. It's just like, I'm going to give an example. When those who play Fallout 76, there's been a lot of people, at least in the past, who have exploited the game on purpose, hacked it, and sent their information to Bethesda. In turn, Bethesda banned them, I should say, from being able to play, when instead they should have probably hired them to go, okay, we'll fix this. How about you keep doing this for us? Because obviously they're bright minds and things that weren't seen before. But that's besides the point. In this instance, when we were asked to go find them and ask them to join, and I go, okay, that's actually not a bad idea. So we went, and I do have to mention this real quick. There was a player named Zane who was playing Stitch. He named his character Stitch. It was a Skittermander, a blue Skittermander, who was an operative who just wanted to help. He was Stitch. Never thought about it until he actually made that character. Anyway, we all went to, we knew the location of where we were at. That was the slip up. So we were able to find it. And it was a young man. We were like, hey, did we were trying to ask him some, tactful questions, but we did have one of the kids who yelled, "Are you the hacker?" And the GM kindly responded, What? No, I don't hack. What's going on?" And we proceed inside and meet the grandmother, who said, when we mentioned this, because he invited us in. You can talk to my grandmother. I mean, I don't have anything to hide. And she had stated that she indeed, in her old days, was a expert hacker and has been having dementia issues, to where she doesn't do it as like she used to, but when she but sometimes she goes through episodes where she just kind of gets recollections and does this stuff. So it was interesting, and then they found out that she had also gone through a few of these phases and hacked into corporate data files, like corporations, Abadar Corp, things like that. So we were tasked then with trying to protect them. It was, okay, what can we do to protect their identity? We all actually thought on this for quite some time. It was a good 5 to 10 minutes, and I'm gonna be honest, I sat there not saying a word, like, because I wanted to be in the forefront of talking. That's just who I am. It's also why I like to DM, because I like to talk. So I'm sitting there quiet and trying to think, and they're like, well, we could do this or that. None of the scenarios really worked without them still getting caught or tracked down by the corporation, at least from the GM standpoint. One thing we were told something earlier on in the mission, that we had their Starfinder Society had a group of people who had disappeared during a mission and haven't been heard from. They're lost. They're gone. So this kind of dawned on me at one point, like, and I asked the GM, like, hold on, wait a second. You said that there was a group of people from Starfinder Society that are presumed dead or missing, right? And he said, yeah. Well, why don't we switch their identities? The identities of these people that we have here, with the identities of those who are lost or missing. This way, they'll just disappear. They'll be dead. No one would know otherwise. Their names would be listed as that. And he said that's a good idea. So that, and that, like, hey, is everyone in agreement? We did. We followed that plan through. I was actually glad, because it was the first mission, really, and it was the first complicated thought, and I was able to make it. I don't mean complicated thought as in, it was more of a tough decision of how do we go about this in a clever way. And I was glad that my idea was taken. Once that was over, though, once we were done with that idea, we went on to the next thing, which was, okay, well, we're on our way back to the Starfinder Society to drop off to the data files to bring these people in, and then we get ambushed. Now, it was slow, because we were using Fantasy Grounds, which was a little different for everyone, and because I believe everyone's used to using Roll20, which is way more versatile. Versatile is definitely the word. There's a lot more work you have to put into it, but there's a lot more you can do with it at the same time. So versatile is definitely the word I would go with. But anyway, we were going to take this drop off to bring them to the Starfinder Society. We were ambushed by these corporate thugs, is what they were called. The fight was in itself very interesting, and I say interesting in the form of, like, I didn't get to do much. I think I shot twice and I hit once, and my character is not meant for shooting because they were just too far away. The problem is when you have 8 people to 4 NPCs who you want to fight, and especially experienced players who know how to work good statistics into characters, fights don't last long. It didn't even last, I don't think, a full 3 rounds. I think it was 2 rounds at most. It would have probably been way more interesting if there was 4 of us, or even 5 of us, comparative to the 8 that we had. I think that's the biggest thing, that, because we'll get into that in a different one when it comes to how easy or difficult a situation in the game can be. But in this case, we dispatched them quite quickly. Their identities were switched, and they were working for the data files. We got a big thank you, a pat on the back, and off on our way. So the next we did, I can't remember all of them. All I know, it was the second one, we met a creature in a bar, the old D&D style of meeting someone in a tavern. And what we were supposed to do is there was apparently a ruckus in a warehouse that was they were going to flood out anyways with some sort of like cultists or bandits or something like gang members. That's what it was, gang members. We were told to go in and clear it out, but there's something in there. It was a big monster that had scared them off. I was like, oh, that sounds like fun. And I was truly excited to fight something bigger and harder. We go in, and we were also asked to get a CD for the leader of the data files. Here, get this CD and hand it to her as like a side mission. Okay, we can do that. We ended up going into the abandoned facility, and lo and behold, there's this giant bird-like thing. It basically looked like if you were to look into a scientist's book, like a legitimate like paleontologist book, to see what a velociraptor looked like. It was that. It was a big bird-like creature that was trying to murder us. And all I wanted to do, my favorite thing I remember is all I wanted to do was kill it and make a hat. We fought it. It was an interesting fight because it was close enough this time where I could get in. We also had a Solarian with us who was also trying to get in. They took a single move, but I ended up going and taking a double move. And I ran all the way in and stood there. I'm like, haha, I gotcha. I made my biohacker is more strength-based than he was dex-based. Dex was only in there to give me some sort of edge in armor. But I went in there, full guns blazing, ready to punch this thing in the face or slice it. They have new injection weapons for the biohacker, which is great. And I'll explain more on a biohacker what it is in a separate episode. But for this case, just know there's someone who, they're scientists who make poisons or work with physiology of living things. So he has this blade, one-handed blade, that when he hits something with it, he can choose to inject them with some sort of bio weaponry. Literally, like they could make them feel a certain way that they're not supposed to, poison, all those other things. Well, I run in and I go to hit this thing and I miss horribly. I think out of all the attacks throughout the entire run, I never hit this thing once. Our Solarians in there were all missing it for some reason, and it's hitting us back hard, like really hard. It's a big monster, and it just wants to, fight me. So. Because I'm also a big lizard man, but this is a large size monster compared to my medium size. So my lizard butt decides to run in and go, I got this. But it was more like, I got this, guys. And I run in and, how am I missing? He's bigger than me. No matter what. I swang and I swang for the fences. I swung for the fences and I kept missing. It was like me trying to hit the broadside of a barn wall with a stick and missing. I don't know how I did it, but I did. And so we had the Solarian who got a few hits in. We had a soldier who was basically Metroid. Legitimately, like that's what the person modeled it after, was Metroid, shooting it down. And we also had we had a mechanic. We had all different kinds of walks of life trying to shoot at this thing, and eventually the Solarian hits his third turn, and he said, "This is a rare thing to hit third turn." And one thing I do have to say, if my name still stays the same as the Ice King Nexion, so if anyone remembers this game with me, I want to shout out to the Solarian, who was very helpful when it comes to running the systems and getting things moving. Anyway, he exploded. He did his, because he went photon attuned, which we'll also get into Solarians in a different episode. But he did some decent damage. He just finally got to, get it off where the thing had to get hit. It wasn't the final blow, but it was a good one. Someone else did the final blow. And I took its feathers and I made a hat. We cleared it out. We did what we were supposed to do. We bought the CD and left. it was truly fun because the way the combat switched in and out, and I really enjoyed playing this scenario. What I will say is that there's more to the story as well. This was only the first 2 out of 4 hours, and these first 2 hours flew by. They were fun and fantastical. And fantastical is not a word, but I'm using it. What I will say is that we're running a little bit out of time, so this is going to be part 1. Part 2 will be in next week once we discuss the second half of what had happened on fighting. Really, we had some non-combat related things we did, and it was really interesting to do them as well. And I'll talk also a little bit more on the players that I can, the kids that were playing, some of the things they were doing, which was, like I said, they weren't bad kids. They're kids. So it was they were fun to have. It was fun to have them around and have someone who was very nice about it, everything that they had done. And we had a GM that was, once again, he was great. And I'll explain why he was kid friendly in the part 2. But this will be it for this episode. Story time with Nexion. So if anyone's got any other questions, they want to leave some comments, you can. I am more than willing to listen. Just give me a shout out. It is going to be a fun next week as well, where I also pulled off some more shenanigans. And then maybe we'll do a character series or a class series after that for Starfinder. It is one of my favorite tabletop role-playing games. But once again, we'll get into that later. I want to thank everyone for listening, taking the time out of your day to have story time with me. Without further ado, I hope everyone has a great day and stay frosty.